Hey, welcome to Bluejay Banter, sponsored by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. West Pacific Dental Group and Infusion Brewery, home of the Let It Fly. So thankful you joined us. Thank you very much. Make sure and go down and hit that subscribe button. We haven't had very many subscribers lately, so we're hoping to gain some here over this important week for Creighton. So hit that subscribe button. Also hit the like button to share this with all of the Blue Jay fans. Uh, Thanks for joining us again. We really appreciate all your support. It's been kind of a year of transition, and I think it's gone pretty damn well, frankly. Um, Zach, I don't know if you know this, but we're going to the Sweet 16. I was thinking about this last night. So, what's more sweeter, the first one or the second one?
I think this one might be. Just last one,
I'm kind of with you on that. At
last one you're happy to be there. You got Gonzaga as were they the number 1 overall seed?
the end of the game, they were like, that was a dominating performance by Creighton. And it really was. The final score wasn't indicative of how much we controlled that game. It was never like oh God, it's to a one possession game or anything like that. So I mean, this is rarefied air, man. We could be in the Elite Eight. I was thankful. Was that you that started the thread on BlueJayBanner.com about
Farabello?
apologies?
Yep, that was me. Yep.
Very good, Zach. That was excellent. Thank you for doing that. And some other people. I was surprised that we called some people out, and I was surprised. I thought they'd just be like, "Wow, you know." No, they
Yeah.
were all like, "Yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah, they were very
I
receptive.
was wrong on Mac, and I was wrong on this." It's like I get that, but can you remember that next year? Like when we lose three in a row. Um, you know, it was just yeah. I was just. I guess my feeling last night was, other than the fact I was under the weather horribly watching the game, but I just had this feeling of like satisfaction.
Yep.
Like, hey, all that preaching I've been doing on the board about, hey, would you guys have a little bit of patience and stuff has come through. Because even if we were to lose Princeton, I don't think we will, but even if we were to lose Princeton, we still got to that Sweet 16 level, and that's kind of the barrier everybody looks for.
Yep.
I'm sure now they'll be like, "Oh, we can't get past the Sweet 16." But I don't know. I guess, and the other thing, number two, I was thinking about was obviously when we have a big upset like this, a 15 over a two obviously in some respect they can say they didn't, but in some respect they took the team for granted, right?
Yep.
Then you get to the 7 versus 15, and maybe they didn't totally take them for granted, but they were probably looking ahead to the Sweet 16,
Yeah.
thinking, "Oh man, we're in Sweet 16." In some ways, it's better you have a tougher game to get over that hump. You're not looking ahead. I remember, there was a lot of trepidation with the Ohio game last time because we were all like, "Oh God, can't blow this." And then the game got close and everybody was freaking out, and we pulled away at the end and won pretty handily. But I just think I don't think we will look, even if we are looking past them a little bit. I think we'll still win. Like I said, Greg McDermott is one of the best game planning coaches I've ever seen, and he will have us ready, and he will have Princeton figured out. We're hopefully going to be joined by our other partner, Ross Ferrarini, in a little bit. I want to ask Ross about, if he watched the Princeton game and if he's watched them throughout the season. And just, I don't know that they're a true Princeton offense type team. I think they're more of a hybrid. And the way we play defense, I think, would probably somewhat limit that, especially when we have Kalk back there as a center fielder.
Yep.
I saw a lot of other teams get spread out against them. Both Missouri and Arizona got spread out against them and then got all discombobulated with their switches, and boom, they scored some easy buckets that way. But I just think with the way we play defense, it might be a little bit different. Plus, I just don't know if they're going to have the answer for us, on the offensive end when we get on offense. I mean, I would doubt it.
I'm looking up stats and all that good stuff right now. Roster.
Yeah, so they've got players from everywhere. He's from Illinois. Langborn is from San Diego. Tosan, I'll pronounce it that way, is from England. Hmm.
Hmm.
And Keyshawn Kelman. Sounds like a dude to me. He's 6'9", senior forward.
Yep.
Well, they
Yeah.
kind of go 6'9", 6'8", 6'4", 6'3", 6'3", somewhere along that range.
They have some size, but the bigger
Who's
guys don't
doing this on
play.
me? Yeah. They got that O'Connell kid, but I don't think he plays much. No, he doesn't. He's only averaging 1.7 a game. So, yeah, he doesn't play much at all. He's only played in 18 games this year. Hi, Ross.
How we doing?
We're just kind of looking over the Princeton roster a little bit. Have you seen, we were going to ask you, have you seen them much?
You know what? I've watched them a couple of times, and I watched a decent amount of them against Arizona. Actually, I watched most of the entire second half, excuse me, of their game against Arizona. They've really got some kids that can shoot it, and obviously they're kind of this sounds cliched and stupid to say, but they're kind of a high IQ team that can really give teams trouble that aren't really familiar with their type of offense, which isn't crazy complicated by any stretch, but it's the Princeton offense. It's just not something. It's unique to them and a couple of other programs. It's just not something that other teams see. So
we were talking about that briefly too, and we wanted to get your input. Is it a true Princeton offense, or isn't it a little bit more of a hybrid? Don't they, or do they just go?
I think anymore, a Princeton offense is more just kind of. It's almost like a framework for, that. I'm trying to think of the right words to say it. I mean, it's more just a framework of back cuts and reading the defense and having a couple of options kind of presented to you. Like if you watch a lot of the really good actions by teams that run really good stuff offensively, a lot of it is predicated on old Princeton offense type stuff. Dribble handoffs and dribble handoffs. If you're going to have a big dribble at you, then you back cut and somebody kind of fills in behind you. So
Yeah.
They've been drilled on it. They run it well, and they've got good shooters.
Yeah, it's just I remember watching them in the Arizona game like you, and I just saw some different things. It looked more like almost a traditional offense there at times. They come out with a high ball screen and things like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, they've got good shooters. How do you think I was saying with the way we play defense, I think it might be tougher for them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think having somebody back there like a Kalk takes away a lot. Now, I'd have to go through their roster and look. If they've got a five that can step out and really, really shoot it, I would guess that Kalk is going to guard, this Keyshawn Kelman or Tosan. I can't pronounce his last.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
he's the British kid.
Tough.
Neither one of them can shoot at all from three, so I think it'll be a little bit easier. If they're out on the the 3-point line, kind of trying to facilitate some things, it might be a little bit easier for Calkers to stay in the paint and kind of clean up some things if guys get beat on back cuts. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun game. We can't ask for a better opportunity to potentially go to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, Kelman has not taken a three all year.
Nope.
So there's a guy.
Kid looks He's 7 of 26 on the season.
So Kalk will be guarding him. There's no question in my mind. He's just going to lay back.
Right.
And then Tosan is only 9 of 30. So it's not like he pops a lot either. So, even if you have to give up something like we normally do on defense, he would be the guy to call or Kaluma to back off him a little bit. And then our guards just play everybody else straight up.
I would agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think they're going to have trouble on our offensive end. Because they're going to have trouble with a couple things. Number one, they probably haven't faced a guy like Kalk before. Number two, our pace, and you can say, well, they're going to control the game. Yeah, but if we get the balls backward and run, then we're off and running. If they're making shots, then they're controlling the game.
They don't make things. I'm looking at their KenPom profile. They're 348th in the country, and turnover percentage defensively. So they do not make you uncomfortable defensively in any way, shape, or form. So we're already a team that, yeah, we've gone through a couple of stretches where we've turned the ball over, but for the most part, we don't turn it over at a super high clip. So, yeah, if they can't really make us that uncomfortable defensively from that standpoint, I could see us getting a good amount of what we would like. Now they are 59th in the country defensively in effective field goal percentage. That's a pretty darn good number. Um, but I would like to think also their schedule plays into that. I mean,
Sure.
Tim, the crazy, they up until okay, so they played Yale 3 times, who's been the best team in that league for probably 4 or 5 years now.
Yep.
Up until Arizona, Missouri, the best team they had played outside of Yale was Iona. They lost at Iona in December. So they just haven't been tested consistently. And that's not to take away from anything that Princeton's done. I mean, it's an unbelievable accomplishment for them. And I'm not saying we're, just going to waltz in there and win by 20 by any stretch of the imagination. But I would like to think that we present a lot of problems for them.
We're gonna waltz in there and win by 20, Russ. Just mark it down. I don't think we're before I ask this, let me ask the question Zach and I were talking about earlier. Is the first one sweeter or the second one?
This Sweet 16?
Yeah.
This one's way better because the other one was COVID. It was still so bizarre. Like everything about that year was bizarre. It just all felt kind of, I don't know if second rate's the right word. That's not the right word, but it just felt different. I don't know. This one feels more legit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, the fact that one was just like, okay, we finally made it, now we're playing Gonzaga. Okay, who cares, type thing. Where this was really earned against a really good basketball team,
Totally.
a team that was top 10 all year long. So this one felt a little better. Although I'm wearing my 2021
I
Sweet
see
16
that.
T-shirt
I love
in
it.
honor of.
And I think that I think there's also an air of, that year we ran into Gonzaga, who was really good, end up going to the national title game. We didn't, I think I don't know that many people thought that we could beat Gonzaga. We were just happy to be there. I get the general sense from after just spending the entire weekend there and going to the games and the whole 9 yards and talking to friends and family and everybody else. I get the general sense from the fan base of like everybody's kind of looking around like we could legit win the national title and make it to Houston, and that's not out of the realm of possibility. And so it just feels like there's just this air of everybody's just very excited right now.
There is one huge roadblock in the way. That being the guys with the A on their chest. That's a huge roadblock.
It
But,
is.
like you say, on the other side of that bracket, it's wide open.
I mean, it's going to be I mean, if we get, I mean,
here's what I looked at though, Ross. Here's a team we've been banging on for 6 weeks. Tennessee, like, oh, you lost your best player. You guys are done. You're playing horrible. Look who you're losing to. You look like crap. Da, da, da. They could get to the Final Four. They've got a path now. Wide open.
That's why this is so hard. I mean, we always talk about this and filling out the brackets. It's so difficult. I mean, I would have never in 1,000 years have guessed Arizona would lose to Princeton. You look at Arizona's roster, and for anyone that's watched them, I mean that roster is stacked. And obviously, I think a lot of people thought Purdue was vulnerable for them to lose to a 16 seed and Fairleigh Dickinson, who finished third in the worst conference in college basketball.
Surprises me, doesn't shock me.
It's just like anything can happen. And, a red hot Duke team that everyone was starting to fall in love with, and Tennessee, who couldn't score all year. Then they lose one of their best players to a knee injury. And then all of a sudden they're in the Sweet 16. And
playing an 9 seed, excuse me. I think FAU, though, could get to the finals of that region. I mean, they're really good.
That's a good team. That's a really, really good team. You don't win 33 games or however many they won without knowing what the heck you're doing. But, looking at Alabama, I mean, obviously they've had a banner year. Obviously they have, you could make an argument, he's probably the most talented player in the country in Brandon Miller, despite all the controversy of the past.
Played like crap in the 2 games so far in the tournament.
He hasn't played great so far, but there's still some. I mean, this is still the same team. It's not like this team is not beatable. I mean, this is the same team that lost it by 24 at Oklahoma, finished dead last in the Big 12. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, to get to the final game, it's wide open. It's weird because the left half has Alabama and everybody else. The right half has Houston, UConn, UCLA, Gonzaga, Texas, loaded over there. Xavier was
Yeah,
very
there's a
impressive.
lot of serious teams.
Miami, I mean, my God, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
I,
it's crazy.
here's it, and I think this year was very difficult because if I would have said to you, Ross, I'm going to make you a bet. There will be one 12 or 13 seed that wins a game, just one. I bet you would have thought I was nuts.
If just one of the 12s or
I'm
one of
just
the
saying,
13s.
I'm just saying, most people said this was the best collection of 12s we've ever seen as at larges, or I mean automatics. I mean
Oh, and you're
that
saying none of them won.
yeah, none of them won.
Right.
Like Oral Roberts, I get that they had a bad matchup, but the other three all had decent matchup. Charleston was
Yeah.
right there and didn't get it done. Um,
I mean,
you
gosh,
know,
Miami only beats Drake by 7, and Tucker goes 1 for
yeah,
13.
Drake kind of choked that game away, frankly,
And
which
your
kind of
best
surprised
player
me.
and your best player by a mile, who's Valley Player of the Year, who could play for anybody in the country, goes 1 for 13. Feel
Yeah,
for feel for D-Rock and Tucker.
I'm starting to wonder about him because the Mo Valley championship game, regular season, the last game of the year was Bradley and them for the title. He had a horrible game that game too. It's like,
No,
that's the kind of thing you don't want to see, especially when you know,
I am
actually
such an
thinking.
you always go with your gut on these things. I said, and my bracket has not done great, and it usually doesn't do great despite how much I watch. I said 5 days ago to a buddy of mine, I said Michigan State can absolutely beat Marquette, and they were in control that entire game yesterday.
Marquette played like crap yesterday, though. That was
They
the
did.
worst game they played all year. But I'll tell you, Michigan State had a great game plan. They just said, Kolek, you're not driving in here. You are not driving in the lane. And they got helped out with his foul trouble. Obviously, that helped a lot.
Yeah. I mean, who do you think? I mean, you got to think if you had a favorite out of that East region, I would got to think the favorite Kansas State or Michigan State or Tennessee.
I like
Michigan,
Kansas State. I like the way they battled yesterday. That showed me a lot because they were down in that game. It didn't look good.
I mean, Michigan State. Think about this though, Tim. Michigan State's favored in that game.
Oof. I had a bad day yesterday too, Ross. Bad weekend really overall. Yeah. I I was definitely, if you don't know, I was definitely ill all weekend. Yesterday was really bad. And
Oh,
so
I
I
didn't know.
was taking
Sorry.
everything possible to take it. And so during the Gonzaga game, I fell asleep. And I woke up once and it was a 7 point game with like 40 seconds left. I said, okay, I got this. And then I wake up this morning and it's a 3 point game. I go, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Oh, you had Gonzaga.
Yeah.
I left.
Um,
I was at that game. That game was great. Great energy at that game. Actually, the Gonzaga fans were loud, and they were down 5 in the second half, and they made a few threes, went on a 13-0 run. It got really loud in there.
Hey, let's go. Let's rewind back a little bit. So yeah, so you were at the game. So how I was getting reports that we had way more fans than Baylor. Is that true?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was
Okay.
actually pleasantly surprised at Baylor's turnout, just considering how good they've been, and they can't even fill their own arena in Waco. But they actually had a decent. They ended up having a decent turnout. I actually thought NC State had an okay turnout too.
Okay. Um, I was talking to Jerry Lampion. He said he was shocked how many Grand Canyon fans were there.
Yeah, so I didn't go to the night session on Friday, but it sounded like Grand Canyon had like a full student section, basically.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. It's not it's a quick flight up from Phoenix. And,
Yeah, they've done an impressive job with that at Grand Canyon in such a short amount of time.
yeah. So obviously, let's see, we're gonna have probably, I would guess, the second biggest fan base there.
And you're
Yeah, we
saying this
will.
past weekend we did?
No, upcoming, we'll have the second biggest fan base. San Diego travels well though. They usually
That's
bring
a
a lot
good
of people up
question.
when it's in Vegas, but I don't know
I've
any.
talked to people, as I'm sure you have too, that are contemplating whether to go or not, and it's really
Me
frustrating from
too.
a standpoint of it's not easy to get to from Omaha because of course
No.
there's not a direct flight and the drive is probably a little bit too much. I know a couple people that are driving. So I don't know. It's I'm
Hotels are
really
crazy expensive,
yeah,
like down by the arena.
I'm really curious to see how like how many fans actually show up. I don't know.
Yeah, I was said for sure I was gonna go, and then it went to and then I got sick, and so now I'm like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. And I could tell my wife wasn't thrilled with me wanting to go. And it's Sweet 16, so you hate to miss it. And this one you're kind of assured 2 games, okay? Uh, it's not like you're playing number one team in the country in the next game. So I think from that perspective, I'm still looking at. I was just looking at it a few minutes ago. In fact, now Creighton's got that charter that's going, but that's kind of pricey too. For 2 people, it's like $5,000. So
Yeah, it's all pricey. And let me tell you from somebody who utilized, the third party, the only way you can get tickets basically, StubHub, SeatGeek, etc.
yeah, I mean, you're gonna sit in the nosebleed, but they're $100, which isn't bad.
Well, they were not $100 yesterday, even for the nosebleeds. I mean, they were ridiculously expensive. I mean, we're
Yeah, that's what
talking
Jerry Lampy said
even for
too.
the nosebleeds, we're talking 250 for the nosebleeds
Jerry did a really
yesterday.
smart thing. He walked down to the lower level and caught the UC Santa Barbara people coming out, and he goes, "Hey, do you have your tickets? Can I sit in your seat?" And they go, "Sure." So he was like second row up.
And he just
That's probably
bought
the way
a
to do it.
yeah, and he
That's probably
bought
the way
yeah,
to do it if we play the second game. To go grab
totally.
the tickets from people who want to leave.
Yep.
Um, that's probably the ticket, but yeah, the airline prices are about 500 right now. They
Yeah,
were
but
cheaper
that's
last
but
night.
then it's you pay that and it's an all day ordeal because you got to connect somewhere. It's just
Yeah, well,
obnoxious.
the only way you can do it now, really, pretty much all the flights are taken Friday, so you pretty much got to go Thursday. You have to bite the bullet, go Thursday. The only cool thing about this shuttle deal, this charter, on Thursday night, they're taking you to Churchill Downs for this private party. It's kind of cool.
Oh wow, it'll be
Yeah,
fun.
they're giving you a lot of stuff, but they're not giving you game tickets for that. You got to pay for tickets besides that, which is a little
Interesting.
crazy. But there's a bunch of them. Louisville fans bought up a ton, just like Creighton fans do, and then they sell them. So
Right, right.
there's a ton of tickets left. Um, so just we didn't really talk about this. What are your thoughts on the game yesterday?
It was great. It was a ton of fun to be there in person. Great energy from the Jays fans that were all there. There seemed to be a lot of them there, and which was obviously awesome. I just thought I just really was impressed. Like we've talked about how many times this year can we see a kind of a complete game from our starting five, and I thought that was as close yesterday as we've seen.
First thing,
I
first thing we said on the post game last night was finally
you
we got a
know,
complete game. Finally.
and yeah, I just thought we kind of just I don't know if dominated is the right word, but we set the tone from the get go, and I never felt threatened by Baylor.
No.
If that I
I
never
oh, you were there, so you didn't hear, that Avery Johnson and Steve Smith as the announcers, as a color guys,
yeah
and they said they were just like the first 4 plays of the game, they're like, okay, what the hell is Baylor doing? They better scrap that pick and roll defense they're running because Culver's standing there wide open. Like how they were just like Avery Johnson was like, yeah, when you go against Creighton, that'd be like the first thing you would have to defend. And it looks like
right
they've never seen it before. Like,
right
I don't know if I think Drew is trying to be a little cute and throw some stuff in there.
yeah I will say this. I'll give Baylor credit. I mean, those guards they have are really talented players. And
They
I'm
are.
I'm I'm
Oh, we did a
really
great job on Flagler, though. We kept
yeah
him down.
yep totally did. Really happy for Francisco Farabello, who's obviously struggled shooting all year, and which is what he was brought in to do. For him to go bang 3 of those, and
Well,
yesterday was huge.
then you need to give Zach a tip of the cap because on the BluejayBanter.com message board, Zach started a thread. Okay. Francisco Farabello apology thread. And I was shocked because we've got some guys who are just jerks. And I was shocked that a bunch of people went on there and go, look, I'm sorry. He came through and we need
He totally did.
him.
He totally did. I've always talked about it's hard. I feel for somebody like Sharif is in such a hard position because he only gets a few minutes at a time. He's obviously played more various games compared to other games.
Sure.
It's just it's hard for him it's hard to find minutes when your starting point guard Ryan Nembhard is playing as well as he's playing. It's just like where are the minutes for Sharif?
Yeah,
So I thought
I was surprised Reef didn't get very many minutes yesterday. I was really surprised at that, frankly.
he only played 3 minutes. Ryan Nembhard has been really really good. We always talk about kind of the differences between him and Marcus Zagorowski. But if he can shoot the way he's been shooting it lately, and he looks confident shooting the basketball, this team's gonna be really, really hard to beat. Really hard to beat.
Well, what I said was when we brought him in, people said, "Oh, he's kind of small." Da, 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 da. I said, "You can't replace a guy who's a winner.
Yep.
You can't teach it, and he's a winner. And you can just tell yesterday, this is a game I've been practicing for all summer. I'm gonna come through," and he came through. Yep.
He was big. I agree with you.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, Avery and Steve Smith were just kind of like, wow. And they were like, wow, the score is indicative. This was a dominant performance. And it was because they were never really threatened.
All right, Tim, on FanDuel right now, you can, if you were to parlay the 4 region winners together. So I did Texas to win the Midwest and beat Houston at plus 190, parlayed with Kansas State to come out of the East, with Creighton to come out of the South, and with UConn to come out of the West. Got about plus 9,400 odds. So $10 to win 940.
Nice. Nice.
Might be worth taking a shot on.
This is a perfect segue. We'll grab them here. The brackets of integrity right here.
What's that?
So, well, the brackets we did, that you and I and Zach did.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yep.
So, and I will add these up again, but I think this is correct. Ross, you have 41 points. Zach has 43. I have 46. However, my 2 regions on the left side are pretty much wiped out. Like I can't score any more points. You, on the other hand, you can't score any down below, where you had Memphis and Kentucky, but you got everything right on the top. So you've got Creighton and Alabama, and then so you can rack up a lot of points now. So in one night you can whiz by me, and you're very good. On the other side too, you've got Houston, Miami, Texas, UConn, Zaga, and UCLA. Now you had Kansas going, but you had Zaga going too, so you're wide open there. Zach's kind of in the same boat, but Zach needs UConn to go far. You hear that, Zach?
Mine's kind of dead because I had Arizona winning the national championship.
Well, I know, but the thing is if you get an upset, say Creighton beats Alabama, then Ross is out too. So then he's going to lose all those points too. So you never know. But yeah, you're right. I like those. I think it's CBS Sports has them. I don't know if ESPN does, CBS does, where they say this is the max you can get, and that's what I always look at. Like, sure, I may be in 10th place, but I can get max of more than anybody in here if my teams win. Not this year, but kudos to you. You did pick Furman, Ross. Nice job. You had that side almost correct in the first round.
The left side of the bracket.
We all crushed it on the bottom side of Kansas, Arkansas. We just whipped up on that bracket because it was all chalk.
The crazy thing is I'm looking at, because so many people, I haven't done great, but I'm looking at a big bracket pool that I'm in that's 400 some people deep, and I've still got a shot just because I can only get one Final Four team in, which is Texas. I've got Texas winning the national title. And so, but my point is that everybody's left side Final Four is basically shot unless you have Alabama. So,
right.
And there's probably a few people, Creighton fans, probably that pick Creighton, but
sure.
nobody had no one on the bottom in the East had Tennessee or Michigan State or Kansas State in the Final Four. No one.
Yeah.
So I don't
God,
know.
I'm so disappointed. I'm happy for the Big East because we got 3 teams that have played really well
Yep.
in the Sweet 16. But God, Marquette just stunk it in it. And another, this is, boy, I'm segueing like crazy today. Leads me to my next segue. Let's start out with Mr. Cooley.
Crazy.
Deal's done. He's going to Georgetown.
$6 million a year.
Yeah.
Crazy. I just, I saw some, on the drive back to Omaha today. My girlfriend drove for a bit, and I was kind of catching up on Twitter and whatnot. And it seems like, rightfully so, Providence fans are obviously very upset. They feel kind of stabbed in the back a little bit.
Oh, really? They're really upset.
And quite honestly, it's
I've been
kind of hard.
texting with Kevin McNamara, so he's been
Yeah,
giving me
it's
some
kind of hard
upset.
not to agree with them. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I know like Georgetown anymore is Georgetown in name only. And that is despite maybe the money that they gave him. I just I don't I think that's a crazy move. I don't know. He seems to be kind of running for the legacy greener pastures job. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Well, here's what I've heard. I've heard that his wife wanted to move. His
His
daughter's
wife
graduating.
his wife did
Yeah,
want to move.
yeah. I think his daughter's graduating this year, and I think there must be some plan of hers to have a job in DC. I'm guessing.
Okay.
Maybe she met
His daughter his
someone and they're going to
Yeah, his
get
daughter
married,
went
and
to
that's where they're going
Georgetown,
to live.
right? Or goes to
Yeah, yeah,
Georgetown,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So maybe that's the plan. Okay, maybe that's part of it. Okay. Ed feels like he's tapped out at Providence. I just 100% totally disagree with him there. Um, somebody put something on Twitter, a Jays fan. Well, maybe he's sick of the damn fans.
Yeah, I can understand I can understand from a coach's perspective, and you hear this a lot with NBA coaches that sometimes after X number of years you just kind of plateaued. And
Right, right, sure.
I can
Guys
understand
do it.
why he feels that way. I'm with you though. I don't agree with that. I think
He says he can recruit better there, and I don't know. When we talked
recruit
to our
better. There's
buddy Ron,
1,500 people go to their games in a
when we
20,000
talked
seat
to Ron,
arena.
he said they've totally broken that relationship they had with DeMatha and a lot of schools in the DC area.
Yeah,
Mm. Now
that's
look, maybe he thinks he can repair all that. I don't know,
right.
but Kevin McNamara's gone out. He was I just looked at his Twitter thread today. He went out as far to say that this is like tarnishing his reputation and horrible for the Big East that he would jump from one school to another. And it's not like he's going from DePaul to Georgetown. He's going from Providence to Georgetown.
See, I like it though, Tim, from that standpoint, because I think it adds more bad blood, and I think that just with the
Oh yeah,
addition of
that'll be a must-watch game, Georgetown and Providence next
totally,
year.
and I think the addition of guys like Sean Miller and Danny Hurley to the league, like kind of fiery guys in general, like I think this is just kind of adding to it, and I just think this
Yeah.
is, and obviously Rick Pitino, we haven't even mentioned Pitino
Yeah,
yet.
well, we're going to go there next. I saw Jeff Goodman, my buddy at Stadium, go, I don't even care about his roster. I'm picking them top 25 next year. And I'm like, hold on.
But I will say, we were talking about
cold.
this, Tim. We were talking about this weekend. If you, quite honestly, if there were one coach, if someone came to you and said, you got one coach who give him just 3 years, just 3 seasons to get your team potentially as far as they've ever been, I'm probably picking Rick Pitino.
Are you really?
Tim, he is an icon in our sport. He's won everywhere he's ever been. He is a stud. They are going to be.
He's coached at Iona. He hasn't won jack there.
What are you talking about?
They won their conference this year. They got to the tournament this year.
He almost beat Alabama as a 15 seed 2 years ago during the COVID year.
I don't even remember that.
I'm more scared. All I'm saying is I'm more scared of Pitino at St. John's than I am at Ed Cooley to Georgetown.
Well, I'm not scared of Georgetown, but I'm not scared of Pitino A lot of people have gone, that's not the same St. John's job as it once was. Now, maybe he can make it that. Maybe he can say, look, I want 8 games in the Garden, okay, instead of 3 or whatever to get New York behind the team a little more. I think that's what they need. I think New Yorkers have kind of like cast them off.
Right.
I think New Yorkers are probably more for Rutgers than anybody right now. But um, yeah, I mean, but I'm gonna wait and see on that one. I'm just saying. Anderson was never a bad coach. He was a very highly respected coach, and he came in there and he couldn't win. Now maybe and to Patino too. It could go this way with Patino, one way or the other. The transfer portal and the NIL, it's all new stuff, man. It's all thrown in where guys are succeeding now that when they didn't before. So
I guess we're on opposite ends of the spectrum there. I think he's going to get them good ASAP, but who knows? Maybe he won't.
but you're right.
Curious. I'm
Hey, you're
curious.
right. There's going to be a guy people are going to hate. So
I'm curious who's going to end up getting the Providence job.
well, that's what I wonder about Patino. I'd forgotten he's way back when. I thought, oh,
Took him to the Final
gosh, he
Four.
should have waited a week. He could have had that job. That would have been a better job, in my opinion. I can't believe Ed. I can't believe Ed thinks he's gonna. I just, yeah. And it's not just the fact that they're bad; it's their arenas downtown, and nobody likes to go down there to the games.
Right.
They'll go when they play Syracuse. They'll go when they play UConn, and that's about it. They don't. And their president is just the biggest jerk. That's all I've heard. He's just an absolute jerk. He wanted to kind of take over the new Big East. And luckily, some people have tamped him down with some votes against him. So I hope Ed knows what he's getting into there.
Can be interesting.
Yeah, crazy. But we'll see what happens. So we tip off at 8:00, correct?
8 Midwest time?
Yeah.
Wow, late one Friday.
Louisville's in the Central Time Zone, right?
I thought Louisville's aren't they Eastern?
No. Man, I could be wrong there, but I positively thought they were in.
No, they're Eastern, Tim.
Are they really?
Yeah. Yep. So let's see here.
Oh, that snakes down in between Illinois and Indiana, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
See, I always forget Indiana's in the Eastern Time Zone. Like, yeah, oh yeah, it does. It sneaks down. Yeah, you're right. God, I always think of Louisville being in Midwest. So, like when I watch like football games and they play at 11, I'm thinking, oh, that's a noon game there.
Right. Right.
Huh. Okay. So
Late
we'll lose an
Friday.
hour going there. Lose an hour. So you don't think you're going, Ross?
I don't think so. No, especially if we can somehow even get to next weekend in Houston, that's a whole nother set of expenses. And I think everyone and their brother is going to go to Houston. So that's kind of what I'm.
God, I missed the cutoff for press passes too. Damn it. Okay, but I think Final Four. Rob told me Final Four is a different deal. So if you can't get tickets, I can get you press passes.
That'd be great.
Bingo! Oh, Ross, I'm all in on it. We actually have friends that live in Houston.
Perfect.
Now, here's the problem with Houston. The arena sets out over here, and everybody's staying out.
I've heard Houston is. I've heard it's one of the worst. One of the worst ones for the Final Four.
Like if you think you're going to walk around by the Final Four, you're not.
Yeah,
there's nothing there.
Exactly. Yeah,
you got to go wade. And I don't know. It must be just a Texas thing because San Antonio was the same damn way. Remember?
Yep.
That was I asked so many people in San Antonio, what made you build an arena here? Because there's kind of like a beat up old golf course next to it. There's that kind of like Hippodrome type cowboy place next to it, and that's it. And they go, well, we used to have all these cowboy events at this place. So people came out here. So they thought, oh, this would be a great place. I go, but there's nothing here. There's no restaurants or bars or anything.
Yeah, right.
They go, well, we kind of thought people would build, and they didn't. And if you notice, the NCAA has not gone back there since. That was a horrible setup. Of all the ones I've gone to, that was the worst. The press area was bad. Press area seating wasn't horrible. I mean, Philadelphia was the worst. You had to sit in the hockey press box, but um, you know, Philadelphia is so cool because the three stadiums are all together, and then there's this great big humongous bar that sits right in the middle. That's just it's a crazy bar, man. And it has like 8 bars in it, so it's nuts. I mean, that's
Yeah.
perfect. People just hang out there. All
We'll
right.
cross that bridge when we get there.
The other thing is too, a lot of the hotels that I see pull up there are at the airport. Well, that's 12 miles out, so
At least I think there's direct flights from a lot of Houston. Thankfully.
yeah, we got to get by one unless we can have our friends at San Diego State upset them.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, God, San Diego, we all know how good they've been defensively for a long time now. They've got some big, long, athletic guys. I think that they can stick with them now. Can they
Plus, they're
score?
scoring more this year. They're able to score when it counts. Bradley's not the only guy that can score.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's going to be an interesting one. I mean, you look at Alabama's a 7.5-point favorite, would suggest that Vegas doesn't think San Diego State's got much of a chance, but who knows?
Oh, they're just like, oh, I didn't see this part where they're dumping water on everybody.
With Coach Mack.
Yeah, they showed in the locker room. I just have the rerun of the game going. Yeah, that's almost a sign. They're trying to make you bet on San Diego with that line. You know what I mean?
Right.
They threw that half in there just to screw you up. They want you to bet on San Diego State. Then you start thinking about it. You're like, probably need double digits there.
Yep.
Princeton is 10, right?
Princeton is 10.
What's the under over in that game?
I just had FanDuel up, and they, for some reason, took our game down.
Man, did you notice a lot of unders? Nick Ball was talking about the ball. The ball is really sticky, and that's why you're seeing so many balls get wedged between the rim and the backboard.
There's tons of unders except for my can't miss play of the day yesterday, which was the K-State Kentucky under 142. There were 55 points at halftime, Tim.
I know.
And
I saw a lot of those type of games.
I get screwed at the end. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. I
How it
stayed away
goes.
from that one because
How it goes,
after
Tim.
I saw so many unders, I just wow. Yeah, it just of course then I did take the under in the Princeton game and then FAU game. And then they shot like 900 free throws in the last minute and a half, The
Then
game
there
was
was one
way
that I
under
thought,
the whole
then there was a line, a number that I thought was low. I thought Michigan State Marquette 139 was low. So I took the over there, and of course it didn't even.
I thought they'd get up now, but Marquette didn't score.
Couldn't score, yeah.
Marquette scores 80 points a game.
Crazy.
It was tough. A lot of fun though. Had a great time down at Marist Sports Bar Thursday, watching games. That Furman game was unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Like good spot to watch the games.
Throwing that pass, picking it off, and the guy just drills a three. Jeez,
that was a blast. That game and Fairleigh Dickinson game was awesome.
Oh yeah. Nobody could believe that one. Everybody's like, okay, Purdue's going to come back here, but their guards just can't score, man. And Barkley hit it right in the head. He goes, Purdue got a bunch of plotting, standstill, 3-point shooters out there. He goes, why don't you go recruit some athletic wings? This game would have been over.
Right.
And then now the conversation is coming up, how come the Big Ten doesn't succeed? That's the same thing. Because in their conference, Minnesota for years. Oh, let's get a backup center. He's 6'11", 220, can't shoot, can block some shot, but he's just a plotter because everybody else has got one of those in the Big Ten. So we got to have one too. Yeah. And then, you got teams like Wisconsin that slow it down. You got Penn State, although Penn State hits a lot of threes when they're cooking. But, the Big Ten has a lot of besides the tall, skinny guys, they have a lot of guys who are like 6'6" and thick. They're not particularly great athletes, but they're tough to defend because of their size, where then they get the NCAA tournament and everybody's like Creighton and Baylor and you name it, going up and down the floor, jacking up threes. And like Marquette flying in from the wings to get rebounds. It's just, I think it's valid. I think the Big Ten has to really look at themselves and go, man, you can't tell me you can't take a Creighton team into the Big Ten and win. Designed like Creighton. You can't tell me that. You can't take one of the Big 12 teams and take them in the Big Ten and not win. I mean, I don't get it. But
Yeah,
it's like copycat. It's just like every other league in the world. It's a copycat league.
Yeah, good. I mean, hey, we still got our league still has 3 teams standing. It's a nice signal for how good
All
our
right.
league
So
is.
if things don't change, you'll be with us on Friday then.
Should
And
be.
I will
Yeah,
be too.
should be.
If I do go, I'll try and get somewhere. Well, I don't have press pass now, so I can't. I said I'll get somewhere where I can
Could be.
pop up my laptop.
Depends on where I watch and how many libations we have and potentially winning, but
just call in drunk, Ross. It'd be great.
So yeah, it should be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is gonna be great, especially when we get to Elite Eight, man. I'm gonna be nervous for 2 days straight.
Oh God. Couldn't agree more. But
all right, buddy. Thanks for
kind of
joining
nice
us.
not having the play on Saturday. You can kind of just kick back and watch some of those other games on Saturday.
This has worked out perfectly. We didn't play Thursday. I like that. I like us when we play Friday. So you have the whole day, just watch games. There's nothing worse than playing an 11 o'clock game on Thursday and losing. Then you're done for the whole